What started with a small little issue with this specific client where they didn't have enough headroom, and that wasn't caught even on the building permits, turned into an entire new project. You can't have this here, right? This is just old, flat roof material that someone just stuck here, right? So you can see the boys right now are basically leveling the concrete. The concrete truck came over here, the mixer brought in the fresh load, and all this concrete is going to get leveled in the basement. Did you know that flat roofs in Canada, when you're building a garden suite or a structure like this, are not entirely always flat? They always have slope. It's a win-win situation for us. The job was done, nothing was damaged. Guys, we're at our Triplex project. We started this last year, but we had some hurdles, some delays. The delays stemmed from basically us having to redo the walkout. The walkout structure, the existing walls were non-compliant, even though the city had issued us a permit do the Triplex with the rear walkout, which we're going to show you guys in a second. It just wasn't compliant. That's one of the issues that we had to deal with after the fact. As we're walking in the back, this is the access that the person that's going to live in the basement is going to use to gain access to the back of the home. We're at the back of the home. You'll see we've widened the stairwell. It was very narrow before from the past videos. We had to rip out this entire wall. This entire wall at the back of the house that I'm pointing at had to get ripped out. We had to essentially shore the structure to make sure that it doesn't obviously collapse. Because once you take out this wall, there's nothing supporting the structure. This structure would have collapsed. So we had to shore everything properly so that this structure, stays intact. We removed the existing wall, we underpinned, and then we built a new wall with concrete block wall basically. And then we've added new steps here, obviously, that are conforming. We've added a new drain in the basement. Before, the issue was the height was too low here. The height when you were walking down the basement, it just wasn't compliant. We've now made it compliant. So now you've got enough headroom, which is in compliance with basically building codes. So this is not going to be an issue anymore with respect to this new stairwell. So it's freshly poured, very good job. And even this retaining wall, guys, when we're doing the new stairs here, because initially the project started with the building inspector pointing out an issue, and building inspector's issue was not having enough headroom here. And even the existing platform, I'm going to call this the bridge, that was going from there over to this section to get to the back was also too low. So when we started the job, we started ripping out the floors here to lower the section where I'm standing now so we can get more headroom. But then when we started doing that, we realized that the existing wall started deteriorating at a very fast pace, and this whole section in front of me, the old section, started shifting. The engineer was called right away as an emergency, and basically after he observed the existing concrete block wall, it was determined that this entire structure has to get revitalized. So we had to rip out everything. So what started with a small little issue with this specific client where they didn't have enough headroom, and that wasn't caught even on the building permits, turned into an entire new project. Now, the back of the home, let's just walk to the back here. There is going to be one more thing that we're going to do over here. Now, this is, again, part of zoning, part of bylaw, part of what the city wants us to do. This garage that you see at the back here is going to require some extensive remediation. So we've got to make sure that this garage is structurally sound. This is obviously a very old garage, and the structure is kind of shifting. It's not in the best of condition. But in order for the client to obtain this triplex conversion permit, they were required by the city to also update and fix up this garage. Not only fixing the garage, but also the city, again, I'm going to have to find out why, but they also want us to kind of, look, this is going to be closed off. We're going to have to finish the cladding here with some sort of a cladding material to make it look nice, because obviously you can't have this here, right? This is just old, flat roof material that someone just stuck here, right? So it's going to get finished off, and we're going to have to build a door here. We're going to have to build a door here, and then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to, when you go inside, we're going to have to build an entire corridor with lights inside here, and then another door at the back. So that garage door at the back you see there is going to have to get modified. But the drawings call for it. The city wants this. So there's going to be a corridor with a door where people can then escape and get out of the buildings. This door and this hallway corridor where it's just going to be designated for passage only. So this garbage over here is a responsibility of the trade. He is going to remove this basically. So we're not going to be calling our general laborers. So if you're an electrician, you're a plumber, you do whatever you do, we expect you guys to come on site and leave the site tidy. Especially this kind of mess cannot be left here. This property here is also a semi-detached home, meaning that it has a party wall that it shares with the neighbors. So we'll show you guys what happened. Let's just go walk towards here. This is all new, by the way. This is a brand new entrance pathway that we've created, the new railings we've created. Now here, we had to add this metal column and the post just to kind of make things structurally stronger and make the bigger to make the opening the way this is, because there used to be an existing door, a single door here to go into the property. It was a single family home. So now you've got this bigger opening. We're going to clad it with the cladding. Here's access to one of the units, and here's access to one of the other units. Now, since this is a party wall, well, this specifically is not. There was a party wall here before. When you have a party wall, if you want to do anything on the party wall, you need a party wall agreement, okay? Now, the neighbors next door obviously didn't allow us to have that agreement, so therefore what we did is we went ahead and got a permit. So now we're not touching the party wall. What we've done is we've kept the party wall the way it is. It's insulated and it's intact. We've built another wall on top of the party wall. That's the shared wall. Party wall is a wall that's just a shared wall that both we're sharing and the neighbor's sharing. But in our case, we've kind of just built another wall ahead of the party wall. So this is the party wall, and we built our wall right over here. So this is what you see over here. This is going to get inspected. When this is inspected, we're going to then do glass rock boards over here just for waterproofing purposes. It's just better. We're not going to use regular drywall here. So let's go inside, have a peek. From my understanding now, this is 98% completed. Yes, it is. So the appliances are in, pot lights are in, backsplash is done. Again, the small things are missing. You know, the last bit of installation of the appliances, the exhaust fan is in. You've got one bedroom here. You've got an access to the back from here as well. We're going to turn on the AC just in a moment, but again, this is, you know, you've got the kitchen there, you've got one bedroom here, and then you've got the living area over there. You've got its own dedicated laundry machine. All right, guys, we're at our project here in Etobicoke. You guys have seen it before. Some development right now happening inside. Let's go inside, have a peek. We've got a 4+1 here. The situation here is basically we're pouring the concrete in the basement right now. You can see the boys right now are basically leveling the concrete. The concrete truck came over here, the mixer, brought in the fresh load, and all this concrete is going to get leveled in the basement. What we've done is we've poured one unit. We're going to be pouring the second unit tomorrow morning. So we'll be done the basement. We're going to order the materials for the rough-in, and we're going to finish the framing in the basement no later than Monday, Tuesday. Then once the framing is done, we're going to start the electrical, the plumbing, the HVAC. HVAC goes in first, then the plumbing, and then the electrical. What happened is, as you guys can see, you've got the pipes, you've got the gravel, you've got the rigid insulation, you've got the metal mesh, wire mesh, then you've got the concrete. At the back of the house, we're still running a power generator because we don't have the temporary power connected yet. We've got the steps that are already formed. There's a suspended slab in the back as well that's also formed for the most part. We're going to be pouring this next week. This along with the front porch and front steps next week. The back of the house, we've got the garden suite, which is in framing. It should be completed framing in the next couple days. We're hoping to finish by Saturday, if not Monday. And then we're going to start all the rough-ins in the garden suite right after. The rough-ins are going to take us typically 10 days to finish the HVAC, the plumbing, and electrical, because there's no fire separations here as a result of it being just one unit. Things go a lot smoother, a lot faster. So we're at the front of the property now. Where the cameraman is standing, essentially, that's where we have the suspended slab. That slab is suspended, meaning that underneath this, that's where we're adding all this rebar. And we've kind of built a platform to suspend the slab because underneath it is going to be the cold room. So this is just a suspended slab, nothing below it. And that's why there's all this rebar that's been added over here. The steps have already been formed. Probably a couple small items that are missing that I can see from looking at this, and I'm going to call the subcontractor on this. But we're ready to pour more or less, you know, 90% we're ready. We're going to pour this next week, and this is all going to be completed very nice. We're going to get easy access then inside the property once this is all poured. All right, now we're walking up to the second floor to see what's happening over here. This is its own individual unit, and here it appears that obviously the plumbing, for the most part, a lot of the plumbing is already completed. We can also see inside here as well that we've got the nice ductwork done as well. The client has gone with a ducted system. This is not a furnace, guys. If you guys are watching these videos, this is all too familiar. Obviously, the ductwork, we've got to obviously do some taping around the joints. That's not been completed, so this is still under process. It's a work in play. But we've creatively designed this in a way in which over here, we've got the ERV unit that's situated here, which we're going to build a little drop ceiling on this section. This is required to bring in the fresh air. Based on the new codes, and everything is nice and clean. See, all this, the trunk for the HVAC systems is all running through the storage room, mechanical room, closets. Therefore, Over here in the living area, you'll notice that there's not a lot of ductwork or bulkheads here. We're getting a nice high ceiling, clean lines. Also, you'll notice that we're not doing any kind of fire separations here between this unit and the unit above, because this is the same unit. So when you have a same unit that you're dealing with, there's no fire separations involved. Now, however, on that wall over there, you'll see that this is basically another unit on the other side. Therefore, we're doing fire separations by adding the resilient channel. You've got the Roxwell insulation as well, and then you've got the 5/8 drywall. Every unit's going to have its own individual heat pump, individual ERV systems, individual hot water tanks, individual metering for water, hydro. Everything is individualized. Did you know that flat roofs in Canada, when you're building a garden suite or a structure like this, are not entirely always flat? They always have slope. We always have to add slope based on the design by the architects to ensure that there's enough slope for the water to disperse, so the water doesn't pool up and just stay on top of the flat roof. So this right here is behind me is a prime example of sloping at its finest. It looks like it's flat, but with the drawings, they call for a certain slope that has to be always implemented to ensure that the water and ice, they always melt and they always have a runoff. So there is a slope there, guys. Just to show you guys what this is, when the city comes in and connects the water services from the road, so when you're building a multiplex like this, you have to budget to connect new water services and new services, because this was a single family home before. Once you go from a single family dwelling to a 4-plex, 5-plex, 6-plex, your water requirements are increased. The same water line that was supplying water to the old home is not big enough to support the big, massive dwelling we're doing back here. So we've got to go to the City of Toronto and we've got to apply for new water services upgrade. Here we've got a 2-inch service that was upgraded for this specific property based on the engineers. Sometimes you go with 1.5 inches, sometimes you go with 2-inch, sometimes you go with 1 inch. It just depends on what the engineers come up with. So here we've got 2-inch services. They connect from the water main, from the street, because the streets have a grid system that supplies all the houses with all their waters and all the sewer connections. So we tap in from there. That's not us, but it's a City of Toronto approved contractor. So the clients pay the City of Toronto. The City of Toronto pays their contractor, a third-party contractor that bids on the job, and they come in, they schedule with plexcon construction to come in on an appropriate time that the site's clean, and we're able to do a site review, do a site meeting to discuss all the ins and outs and making sure the site's going to be clean the day they come in to connect the water services. This contractor now takes the water services from the street, brings it to the property line. So where we are here right now, this is the property line. They don't go inside the property. They only work to the property line. That's what they're allowed to do. They just don't touch inside. And from here, to bring the services into the home at the back, they dig everything up and they bring the services to the back to connect inside the home. So we bring it inside ourselves.